Hi, welcome to Victor Good Classes. My name is S. Vijay Jagdish. In this class, we are discussing about climate actions the government is taking and what are the gaps in this, what is the ambition, what is the actual happening. Based on an editorial published in the newspaper. So, India's climate budget in 2026-27, the gap between the ambition and the allocation. Okay, an evaluate analysis of fiscal outlay. That means how much money government is spending on this. Okay, industrial strategy and the pivot towards export competitiveness. Now, it's not just about climate change. We are linking this with the export competitiveness. That means your product should be cheaper in the other market, then you should have done some homework on the climate actions as well. Okay. Now, what is this executive summary in this? Okay, look at this industrial pivot. The focus shifted from simple renewable targets to complex industrial decarbonization. We should have done it. Okay, particularly steel, cement, and aluminium. These are the things which we are exporting to European Union, where European Union has got CBAM, carbon border adjustment mechanisms. That means there's an additional tariff on it. Okay, even though we have signed FTA with the European Union, it is not necessarily or may not be that CBM will also be waived off. Okay, so if the CBM should be waived off, our carbon credit mechanism should be good and they should accept it also. Okay, so it is not just about renewable energy. We got a target, we got a national action plan on climate change, we have a Paris agreement. That is not going to work. Okay, if you want to export your goods to the countries like European Union, you should have done proper carbon credit mechanism. Carbon decarbonization, you could have done it. Okay, then allocation disparity. Okay, look at this. We have spent as per the budget. I think you have seen my budget class. Otherwise, the link is there. Please read that after this or later. 20,000 crore for the next 5 years we are giving. Okay, for what? CCUS, that means carbon capture and utilization. I think. So 20,000 crore for 5 years we are giving. Okay, then capital gap. Government is heavily on the private capital to fill up the gap. Okay, however, the sectors like nuclear, hydrogen face high risk, safety, liability, that is may not be possible from the private participation. Okay, so it's not just climate change. Nowadays our export is under stake if you don't do that. Okay, and the money which you are allocating is not enough, and we cannot rely on the private to fill the gap. Okay, the climate policy has allowed from a pandemic era localization to global export survival. I told you, export survival. If you want to export to other countries, you need to do this. Okay, we have been doing mainly this like photovoltaic cells we were importing from China. Then we stopped it. We were producing inside the country. Okay, so Union budget began reflecting serious climate concern in 2021. Okay, however, approach remains cautious and disjointed. The current budget attempts to address 5 broad sectors: cement, steel, aluminium, decentralized solar. That is what that Bijli Muft Yojana. Okay, green hydrogen, nuclear. All this we are trying to do. Okay, now look at this. This is the same thing I'm repeating. Okay, still I want to enter into the European Union. This CBAM comes into picture. Okay, so if I want to do that, then that means our country's carbon decarbonization should be accepted. Okay, the main export component, India must lower embedded emission of industrial production. Domestic climate targets are now secondary to trade survival. Okay, so response already told you 20,000 crore we are spending for this one for CCUS, that means carbon capture. Okay, and so just a demonstration phase, we are not able to come to this level. The modest provision of suite of technologies known for to be costly and complex. That is very important. Okay. It is very costly and it is very complex. Okay, if you want to suit the technologies. Okay. Like we have some examples in the global level. Look at this. The operational examples exist in Norway, Canada, and USA also. Okay, where the expensive and unevenly global. India's funding level is insufficient for immediate mass and adaptation of hard to abate sector. Okay. This certain trivial information, you can ignore this. Green hydrogen, very important, suffer from policy visibility. Okay, so what they are doing is, this is strategic, is this much is needed. Okay, but alter terracotta is, that means executive gap is this much. Despite significant hype and positioning of green hydrogen hub, the sector continues to the modest actual spending. There's no fund coming from that. In fact, Ambani has actually opened the world's largest green hydrogen plant and all, but nothing is happening in the ground level. Okay. Decentralized carbon. This is this is actually very good point. Okay, what happens is you can in your home you can set up the solar energy. Okay, you can spend 1 lakh rupees if you want, and government is going to give 60% of the income in 60% of the cost they'll give you. Okay, and once it start working, you have a reverse this also. That means excess of your production you can sell to the case this one electricity board also possible. Okay, so thereby so Muft Bijli Yojana, that means the electricity will be free. The government is saying. Okay, so thereby this is a good, but this Discom is there, no. They are in a huge loss if this is making to this one. So this is one scheme you can try. Okay, Pradhan Mantri Surya Ghar Muft Bijli Yojana. Okay, it reduces the land pressure. So see, you can use this word decentralized solar or decentralized electricity. Every house will have their own photovoltaic cells, and they can invest 60% of the money the government will give to you. Okay. Agriculture sector. Okay, solar irrigation is another. So I think KUSUM. Okay, please note down these two schemes. Please go and read this. One is the Ghar Muft Bijli Yojana. Other one is KUSUM. KUSUM is that the pump the water is taken from the groundwater. For that, we are going to allocate the solar. Okay, this one. Okay, 5,000 crore allocation is there. What is the irrigation scheme? Through strong fiscal absorption and steady continuity. This is also example of decentralized things only. Okay. Base load challenge. Nuclear strategy relies on the indirect tax levers rather than direct capital injection. Okay. See, nuclear is also green energy. Okay. Non-polluting, clean, pure, all this you can say. But there is no much fund coming into this. That is why government has opened it recently. Liability charges. I think those Shanti bill in which they reduced the liability also. Okay, but still the nuclear is a capital intensive. Okay, and it has a long-term liabilities and things will be there. So there also we are not kicking up. So even today, okay, if you go and check it, my remembrance is 50% or above the fuel which is consumed in India is coming from the coal or this one smoke. What is that? Wood. In fact, cooking is happening. More than 50% is happening in this itself. Okay, so what is ultimately we need to do is strategic wise we need to do this. Okay, CCUS, that is carbon capture, solar roof. Okay, KUSUM, that is where the this comes. No, pump set, green hydrogen, nuclear. All these are okay. Okay, but funding, if you look at this, in everything fund is only where it is successful funding is this one. Okay, in all these places it is nuclear, it is indirect, they are not directly pumping money into it. They are saying if you start a nuclear power plant, don't need to pay the tax. But rather we should spend some money, the government should give some kind of funding, that is a best way because private cannot. Okay. Execution wise, look at this. This is okay, technology cost. Okay, Discoms, this one, their friction is there. Okay, they go and we say that why I should pay the electricity bill, I have a solar, so that friction is happening. Okay, this is working well. Okay, and absorption gap is there in green hydrogen. There are also funding issues there, and private capital risk is also there. Private people cannot have this much of money. Government has to provide that, but in fact the foreign companies can come and help. Okay, so what is the way forward in that will be in the budget matches high ambition with prudent fragmented. Ambition is okay, high, but allocation is very low. Okay, so bottlenecks are there. Okay, government is banking on the private capital, which may not actually happen. So what is the final outlook? The export critical sectors like steel and aluminium may not be fast enough to beat the European Union CBAM, carbon border adjustment mechanism. So we need to demonstrate that our carbon sequestration or carbon absorption or the sectors like steel and aluminium are producing less emission. Okay, then only we can need not pay that much tax. Okay, so in summary, what is it? There's a lot of divergence between the ambition and the allocation. Carbon capture deployment. Okay, we have spent 20. We are going to spend 20,000 crore. This is export imperative. Pilot phase strategy we can do. Okay, this PM Surya Ghar Muft Bijli Yojana is working good. This is something my father also have done in his home. Okay, then carbon, these are the fund allocation, which is they are saying it is less. Okay, so what we can do is we can put private sectors in the place, but government has to allocate more fund is what the underlining of this editorial. Okay, at the same time, please go and read this PM-KUSUM, and then we have got PM Surya Ghar Bijli Mufti Yojana. Okay, all this you can go and see. And also, if you want, you can tell me what is CBAM. CBAM is when the non-European countries are exporting to European Union, then there's an additional tax levied on them. Okay, that's what it is. But please have a look. Okay, now the climate actions are not just because of Paris Agreement, but it is a promoting export competitiveness is what the fact is. Okay, so hope you enjoyed this class. See you in another class. Thank you very much. Bye bye.